Thanks, first of all, Kasha and everyone, for giving me the opportunity to present to all of you. I know I'm the one standing between you and the end of the day, so I would like to keep this brief. Hopefully, the presentation will have a lot of images. It will flow between the slides, and it will not be confusing and boring for you. So let's get into it. So before I jump into this talk about tech innovation in diabetes, I just want to say that I'm a physician by background. I've been with Medtronic for about 9 years now, and I've worked in different roles. As of now, I'm actually out of diabetes, but then this is something that's very near and dear to me because I've worked in diabetes for almost 6 years in Medtronic as a medical affairs and then clinical marketing manager, then heading a project for R&D collaborations with pharma companies for their drugs. So I've done multiple small stints in diabetes, and today I'm trying to kind of compress that knowledge regarding our technologies, where we are today, where we want to go tomorrow, where the industry is, and how we are looking to kind of solve this epidemic of diabetes globally. So before we get into the tech itself, it's always kind of humbling to look at the numbers and see where we are. Many of you might be knowing these numbers already, but just for the sake of grounding ourselves, it's important to go through these, maybe one more time. It is definitely a worldwide epidemic. We are at about 463 million people with diabetes today, and it's going to grow by about 51% by 2045. And the one thing that you may notice on the slide is that the disease is not specific to developed countries anymore. In fact, if you look at the rise of the disease or the increase in prevalence of the disease, it's more in Africa, Middle East, and North Africa, as compared to just Europe and North America. So it's a truly global disease, and a disease for which all of us need to kind of collaborate and work together to find solutions for the same. These are some numbers for what's the cost implications of this disease just in US. So in US, we've got 34 million people with diabetes. And again, for those of you who don't know, about 90 to 95% of people have type 2 diabetes. So type 2 diabetes is a diabetes that occurs as a result of, lifestyle conditions, stress, obesity, and all of that. And then type 1 diabetes is about 5 to 10% of the total diabetes cases. The same kind of distribution applies in Europe and rest of the world as well, wherein the type 1 diabetes is basically because of autoimmune destruction of the pancreatic beta cells, and the body is not able to produce insulin. In type 2 diabetes, it's more about, the body is able to produce insulin, but it's not sufficient enough to move the glucose from the blood into the cells. So the body first needs oral medications, and then eventually needs insulin for better management of the disease. Whereas in type 1 diabetes, because there is a destruction of pancreas, they have to be on insulin right from the day of the diagnosis of the disease. Yeah, another concerning thing that I just want to highlight here is about 45% of the new diagnosed cases are type 2, which means that it's becoming more and more lifestyle disease, or it's more about the choices we make, growing up. The sedentary lifestyle and the unhealthy eating habits are contributing to more and more people getting diagnosed with type 2, and they're getting diagnosed with type 2 early in their age. Some numbers around the cost, really high numbers. I won't go into the details, but just to show you the implications of how difficult it is to manage the disease. And the cost of managing diabetes is because of the complications that the disease has on your body. So there are these microvascular complications and then the macrovascular complications. So micro would include the retinopathy, then the nephropathy and the cerebrovascular disease, and the macro one includes the coronary heart disease problems. What are the treatment goals? It's pretty important for us to identify,